Hello there. Welcome to the Jasmine Blossom. Black History Month is over. I'm sad. You're sad. We're all sad. I'm actually sick right now while I'm recording, so bear with me. Even though Black History Month is over, we're just beginning Black History Year 2022, so enjoy. These recommendations are still relevant. Let's begin with books I am currently reading. The first one being Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall, a Chicago South Side native just like me. Kendall speaks her truth about the quote-unquote feminist movement and how the realities of Black women cannot be pushed aside if any real progress is to be made. As a young Black woman who is finding my way through this society that undervalues me and Black women both like and unlike myself, her words bring validation and inspiration. With topics ranging from the dangers of respectability politics to how gun violence impacts Black women, every chapter offers a wealth of knowledge and wisdom for years to come. My favorite quote so far is, "It's not silencing or bullying or toxic to refuse to make anyone else's comfort more important than our lives or the lives of our children." My second recommendation is How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. Kendi combines excerpts from his own lived experiences with a variety of resources to educate readers on a popular lie: being quote-unquote not racist. He tells the truths of the variety of forms racism takes in our society and how anti-racism confronts them. Every chapter begins with both racist and anti-racist definitions of the main topics, which makes it easier to understand the differences between the two. By the way, this book was recommended to me by a commenter on TikTok, and I am eternally grateful. My favorite quote so far is, "Assimilationists believe in the post-racial myth that talking about race constitutes racism, or that if we stop identifying by race, then racism will magically go away." This next category are books I read in 2021, starting with How It Went Down by Kekla Magoon. Magoon tells the story of the shooting of fictional character Tariq Johnson, a Black teenager shot and killed by a white man. We get to know who Tariq was through everyone's eyes, but also who the other characters really are. From witnesses to family members, strangers, and friends, everyone has something to say. There are even discussion questions at the end of the book if you're looking for some practice with critical thinking and literary analysis. This book is geared towards high schoolers, but don't let this deter you. A good read is a good read. My favorite quote? "My son wasn't perfect, but he was mine. The world isn't a perfect place, but he should still be in it." This next book is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. With this book, Acevedo creates a narrative through a collection of poems by the main character, an Afro-Latina named Xiomara Batista. Xiomara is a high schooler trying to find her voice and create her own destiny as she balances her growing womanhood and desire for freedom with family values and cultural practices. My favorite quote is from the poem More About Twin. "My brother was birthed a soft whistle, quiet, barely stirring in the air, a gentle sound. But I was born all the hurricane he needed to lift and drop those who hurt him to the ground." My fifth recommendation is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas, author of The Hate U Give. Our leading lady is Brianna Jackson, aka Bree, who aspires to be a rapper. However, the road to her dream is not an easy one. Her family, friends, school, and soon the world all have their own beliefs about who she is and who she should want to be. She's just a kid trying to make it in this world full of poverty and anti-Black bias on the news and in our classrooms. My favorite quote: "It's hard to say, this is a protest. So many of my classmates who look like me are rocking to a beat that's not even playing. This is a mini concert. This is war." Our next category includes books I plan to read later this year, starting with Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. The story takes place in Garden Heights, just like The Hate U Give, and follows Maverick Carter, a 17-year-old gang member who's just found out he's a father. This young man wants to be an amazing dad, and I look forward to seeing how he triumphs over the obstacles that come his way. The reason I am recommending a book I haven't read is to encourage you to be my book buddies. Being able to chat with others about the books you read is an incomparable experience. It truly is. Okay, moving along. The non-spoilery quote from this book is, "For all the roses growing in concrete, keep blossoming." The next book I plan to read this year is Barracude by Zora Neale Hurston. Zora Neale Hurston has been a huge inspiration for me, not just because she's an amazing author, but because she was a cultural anthropologist. Zora challenged this, using her skills as a writer to not only share these stories, but to record them phonetically, meaning in the dialect of those whose stories she told. In this case, Barracude shares the tales of Cujo Lewis, the last enslaved man brought to the Americas. This is a historical text and was treated as such in its creation. The book itself was even designed to look old, with pages looking like they were torn from a book. My non-spoilery quote from this book is actually from Alice Walker, who adored Zora Neale Hurston. "Those who love us never leave us alone with our grief. At that moment they show us our wound, they reveal they have medicine." Speaking of Alice Walker, the next recommendation is The Color Purple. This is included in the category Books I Need to Reread. A tale of two sisters, Celie and Nettie, told through their letters, both to God and to each other. This novel is a classic, winner of the Pulitzer Prize in Fiction 1983 and the National Book Award, Fiction 1983 as well. Similar to the works of Zora Neale Hurston, the dialogue in The Color Purple reflects the dialect of the characters, aka they use AAVE, African American Vernacular English, also known as Ebonics. I will warn you that this book can be triggering from page 1, with themes of SA and DV. Apparently, I can be demonetized if I say certain words aloud, hence the letters. A quote from this novel is, "God is different to us now, more spirit than ever before, and more internal. Most people think he has to look like something or someone, but we don't." Another classic is the autobiography of Malcolm X, as told by Alex Haley, the author of another classic, Roots. The novel begins with the words of the daughter of Malcolm X and the goddaughter of Alex Haley, Atala Shabazz, speaking on the impact her father made on the lives of all Black people, all Americans, her family, and herself. Despite Malcolm X being a central figure in the civil rights movement, the general population doesn't know much about him. What better way to learn such an important piece of American history than through his life story? A quote that stuck out to me back when I read this in high school is, "We both agreed that American society makes it next to impossible for humans to meet in America and not be conscious of their color differences. And we both agreed if racism could be removed, America could offer a society where rich and poor people could truly live like human beings. The last category is one of my favorite books, The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. This book has changed my perspective on what Black literature can look like. My favorite books have always been so much Black for watching. I would like to make it clear that these books all contain mother or grandmother that can be triggering, and so please be mindful of your experiences. If you have any book recommendations, make sure to comment. Our leading lady, Star, if you've read any of the books I'm recommending, let me know what you think. The Black neighborhood she grew up in and calls her home, and her preppy, rich white kids' school in the suburbs. She'd been managing well enough until she meets up with an old friend, Khalil, whose life is tragically lost due to a fatal shooting by a white police officer. The media covering his death writes Khalil off as a quote-unquote criminal. Everyone wants Star to tell the world what really happened. To find out who Star is and how she finds the courage to stand up for what she believes in, you need to read The Hate U Give. And now a spoiler-free quote. Brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you go on even though you're scared. Thank you so much for watching. I would like to make it clear that these books all contain events that can be triggering, so please be mindful of your boundaries. If you have any book recommendations, make sure to comment down below. If you've read any of the books I'm recommending, let me know what you think. Bye. My non-spoilery my non-spoilery quote, I think I said concrete. My concrete rose by Angel Thomas.